Good morning, everybody, and welcome. This podcast, I've got Mark here with me today.
How are we all? Hello, and thanks for listening.
Mark's a solicitor with me and works closely on data protection.
Yep.
And whilst, of course, everyone is welcome to listen, this podcast is specifically aimed at the Startup Disruptors group, and in particular, any concerns or questions that you may have regarding data protection. Now, data protection doesn't really excite solicitors. It isn't the most exciting topic in the world, but it is important for any business. But I need to stress to you all, be it a startup or be it you've been in business for a number of years, don't worry. There isn't anything to worry about with data. Is there, Mark?
Well, I mean, the thing is, when it comes to data, is we all just assume in our brains that anything to do with data is it's important, but we are quite flippant with handing it over. And what I mean by that is we are quite happy, certainly when it comes to online and data and information that we're providing to another entity, whether it be a company or an individual. We're ready to just tick a box so that we can get on with our day. Would you agree, Michael?
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, I think the starting point for all new startups, if I'm asked the question, should I register with the Information Commissioner for data protection purposes, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
I think it should be default. I mean, there are arguments as to, I don't deal with data, I don't process it, I don't do anything with it. No, I think everybody in business now has a general obligation to register. So you register with the Information Commissioner, that is a must. There is a criminal penalty if you don't, and it's only 40 quid, and it takes, somebody like me, from 40 quid, and for everyone at startup it'd be £40, and it takes less than 20 minutes to do. That's the most important thing. Secondly, is what do you tell your customers? Well, the answer to that is that you tell your customers as soon as you collect their data. So if you have a website, at the point that the customer enters their details is the time that you must notify them as to what you're going to do with that data. So if you intend to sell that data to weabusedata.com from America, you're perfectly entitled to do so, provided that the customer is aware that you are going to sell that data and that you have an express notice indicating what you're going to do with that data. And their express consent must be ticked in order for you to sell your data to the said American company. So the first thing you need to do is to expressly state what you do with that data. And that's in the form of a data protection notice, which you all know as a privacy policy. So that's the most important thing. Now, if you don't do that, if you don't inform people as to what you do with that data, it's a breach of the Act and you will be in trouble. Mark?
Sounds very scary, doesn't it, when you put it like that? But
well, it's monitorised by individuals to sell that fear. Now, I can tell you now for fact that the Information Commissioner is an excellent organisation which seeks to ensure that one is complying. So it doesn't seek to batter or to punish or to make the ordinary small business suffer. On the contrary, they're there to encourage you to use the data.
Where is this come from, though? Where has this come from? I mean, over the years, of course, it's been...
Where's what come from?
Well, we know that it's for many decades in terms of data and making sure that you're keeping someone's data secure, or for those individuals that are handing over the data, that their data is being secured. But the Information Commissioner and all of us as individuals and companies, it is being drilled a lot more of its importance about complying. Now, as much as you say about it not meaning to be scary, surely
I think the numbers. Yeah, well, I think the numbers are so significant. I mean, you've seen what's happened with the amount of investigations from the Electoral Commission to Brussels about the power of Facebook and what it can and did do during the Brexit referendum, how vital data is to these organisations. Now, I think generally Brussels and the EU have been very consumer friendly towards data. Yeah. It's really sought to put in policies and procedures and legislation in place to prevent the data abuse. And there's significant voices going on at the moment for the UK to relax those rules, and we'll start adopting more of an American approach to data, which is pretty much gloves off, do what you want with it.
Right.
So the Continentals will still remain very data friendly and trying to point the, silly things like you open your post in the morning and you'll have junk mail. Where did I get that from? I never asked for that. Well, you did. Along the way that you subscribe to a website or you tick the box when you filled in a competition, if the small print regarding the notice informs you what they're going to do with the data, that's what they're going to do with the data. So it's really important that you embrace telling people exactly what you do with it.
Yeah.
And for that, it's data protection notice. So the GDPR references, if everybody refers to, we can't release that because of GDPR, it is nonsense. Provided that you have a suitable data protection notice which explains what you do with the data at the time you collect it, you're home and dry. Now, in addition to that notice, if Mark then comes along and says, "Oi, you, Michael, why have you sold my data to X, or why have I got an email from X?" Mm-hmm. You say, "Well, I did refer you to the notice and you did consent to it."
And how would I have consented to it? Give me an example of that.
Well, you would have ticked the terms and conditions, and the terms and conditions and the privacy policy would have been ticked.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have been able to proceed with the contract.
Which means I was invited to read it, but I maybe didn't choose to read it.
But the important thing to follow on from that is that as soon as Mark indicates to me that, okay, you've had an email from me, I'm not happy about it, but I accept that I did tick the box and I totally understand that you do process my data. No problem at all. Mm-hmm. Take me off, will you? Mm-hmm. Now, as soon as you take that person off, you're complying with the Act. As soon as you don't take that person off through willful ignorance or just incompetence, then you're in breach of the Act.
Okay.
And you're going to get into trouble. Now, depending on the individual involved, that trouble could well mean having to pay out a sum of money by way of compensation or having to go to court and defend it. So for the simple notion of having some form of policies in place would have completely solved the problem.
So examples of policies then. So
policies, policies should be coming out of your ears. You should all have a folder which has at least 6 to 10 documents that relate to data protection. Because don't forget, anyone in the organisation can request what data you hold about them. And so you must also make sure employees and contractors, etc., are also duly notified. So we have a set of precedents which we can send you. So please speak to Becky, and she has my details. She has Mark's details, and Alice, of course, and we can go from there. But really, to all you startups, embrace your data. Don't be scared of it, and it will look after you. It will be a valuable friend.
And the ICO was a big one for me when you first mentioned that, because...
And who's the ICO?
The Information Commissioner's Office.
Oh, well done.
Yes. Oh, I was listening, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So the ICO, Information Commissioner, based in Wilmslow, which is quite a posh part of Manchester. Anyway, that's enough for today.
Any further information?
Please contact Becky or Alice or myself or Mark, and the details are, of course...
Always readily available.
Always readily available. All right.
Excellent.
Well
Thanks
done.
all.
Bye.
Bye.